5 minutes to my friend from Georgia, Mr. Buddy Carter.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, and I appreciate all of you being here, and what an appropriate and timely hearing that we're having that's entitled Exposing the Woke, Wasteful, and Bloated Bureaucracy, and nothing could be further from the truth. Thank you for that. This is something we needed to have, Mr. Chairman, and I do thank you. You know, I sit on the Energy and Commerce Committee, and I've witnessed what has been going on with bloated and bureaucracies, and it's very frustrating, especially when it comes to energy and climate. And I see this rush to green. Look, I have the honor and privilege of representing the entire coast of Georgia, 100 miles of pristine coastline, and it also happens to be my home where I've lived all my life, and no one cares about the environment more than I do. So I discharge this theory that we don't care about the environment. We do care about the environment, but at the same time, what I've seen, why this administration has been nothing less than an all-out war against fossil fuels. Day one, this administration declared war against fossil fuels. You know, we both parties share the same common goal, and that is to decrease carbon emissions. It is not to decrease choices. The United States has decreased our carbon emissions more in the last decade than the next 12 countries combined while growing our economy. We've proven that it can be done. And that's even today. Today, look at what's happening. The EPA's got a new power plan rule that will have significant new requirements on our baseload generation. More regulations. Unbelievable. I would submit to you that what is going on in our economy right now is self-inflicted. Day one, when this administration declared war on fossil fuels, price of gasoline went up, inflation went up, interest rates went up, and now we got the mess that we've got. Self-inflicted, unnecessary. It just frustrates me to no end. Mr. Adele, I want to ask you, because you know a lot about climate policy and about free market environment, what type of consequences do you think that this administration and their policies have had on Americans, on everyday Americans, whether they make over $400,000 a year or whether they make less than $400,000 a year?
Thank you, Representative Carter. You know, I think the consequences of these policies are really bad economically on the American people. They're also bad environmentally. There are economic growth and opportunity are the basis of environmental protection. So when you degrade the economy, you will degrade the environment as well. So I think they're hiding a lot of bad things behind the climate blob, the green blob. They're saying, oh, we have to do all these things because of climate. But in fact, they have very deleterious impacts on the environment as well.
Thank you. Ms. Grasler, what about you? What's your opinion?
Well, I think that we're seeing the green energy agenda shift into other areas of the government as well, and even threaten them. I know that the U.S. Army right now is facing a recruitment shortage. And then at the same time that they are doing that, they were submitting a 50-page report of their new green energy climate plan. And so they're having to divert their resources towards fighting climate change instead of actually having the proper amount of army to protect the nation.
You know, in the first 2 years of the Biden administration, Ms. Grasler, they have this government has spent over $500 billion in improper payments. But instead of seriously working to address that problem, the President Biden's budget proposes to inject even more spending on some of the worst performing programs, such as Medicaid, which spent $80 billion improperly last year, a 15.6 improper payment rate increase. Again, another example of the federal government failing to do its job and not even attempting to fix it or get better. What are the consequences for taxpayers because of this lack of accountability?
Well, they're already paying about $1,800 per year, but I think it's incredibly insulting to them and causes them to lose faith in their government when the federal government expects taxpayers to pay the correct amount based on a 7,000-page tax code, and then the federal government, when it's administering the programs that it designed itself, is spending $1,800 per household per year, $245 billion in total, making improper payments.
Well, I'm out of time, but I do want to thank y'all for being here. And I want to thank you again, Mr. Chairman, because this is a very appropriate, a very timely hearing